Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today we're doing the what's next on Rafael Espinoza, the newly crowned WBO Featherweight Champion of the world at 126 pounds. Now, before we get into that, if you could smash the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, I really do appreciate any and all support that I can get as I continue to build my channel here. So this fight, before all that, guys, next week I'm starting my champions reports, my 2023 champions reports, getting all in details about all the four governing bodies, their champions and their titles from 2023 and what they're doing going forward. And then my favorite thing, my 2023 top 10s, as I do individual videos on every fighter that made my top 10, count them down and all that stuff. So be on the lookout for those. All that's going to start on Tuesday and then roll through until I'm done. So a lot of videos coming your way, a lot of stuff going on. So now back to Rafael Espinoza, the newly crowned WBO Featherweight Champ. So, excuse me. Espinoza against Robeisy Ramirez was a great fucking fight. It really was. I mean, the two, went to war as probably a fight of the year candidate. Some might argue fight of the year, and they'd be well within their rights. I thought it was a really, really good matchup. But Ramirez, again, I said it in the recap and I'll say it again now. I'm surprised that he took on Espinoza because of Espinoza's physical advantages. The 6-inch height, the 6-inch reach, undefeated, throws a lot of punches. I just thought Ramirez, trust me, I appreciate any fighter taking on a tough challenge. But Espinoza was widely unknown, and I don't think Ramirez had to take this fight. Especially when the, Inoue sweepstakes are coming, possibly. The monster Inoue, after his fight with Marlon Tapales next week, could be moving up to 126, within the next year. And, or it could be next, and there was a high probability that Inoue and Ramirez would be colliding at some point. Now that seems to be derailed, but Rafael Espinoza is the guy that derailed it, and now the big question is, what's next for Rafael Espinoza? Well, it's unclear if, I don't think he's in optional mode unless the WBO were to order a rematch between him and Ramirez, because it was a close fight. Or unless Ramirez has an automatic rematch clause on his contract. A lot of times when fighters take optional defenses, they put automatic rematch clauses in their contracts. I haven't heard anything about that yet, so we'll get Ramirez out of the way right now. I haven't heard anything about an automatic rematch, but I hope these two guys do rematch, because it was a great fucking fight. Now, this guy isn't in the top 10, and we go through the top 10s, the top 10 featherweights. But his number one contender is Arnold K. guy. And there hasn't been a mandatory WBO title fight since April when Ramirez defeated Isaac Dogbe for the vacant belt. Ramirez went on to make 2 optional defenses, beating Shimizu back in July and then fighting Espinoza. So Espinoza might be obligated to make a mandatory unless the WBO said, well, it hasn't been a year yet since the last mandatory, so we'll allow you to make another optional defense. If he does that, we'll see. But let's run through the top 10 and see what's possible. We start with IBF champion Luis Alberto Lopez. Could be possible. I wouldn't be surprised because they're both top-ranked guys. They're both Mexican fighters. It'd be a unification bout. We know Lopez is probably is likely fighting Rhea Abe next in a mandatory defense. So I just think their timetables might not match up, So I'm not seeing this fight next. I think it definitely could happen in the second half of the year, but I don't think it's happening next. Former 2-time WBA champion Lee Wood. Not likely Lee Wood's going to be moving up to 130 in his next fight and campaigning there. He's already vacated the belt. So I don't think there's really slim to no possibility that Wood and Espinoza would be possible. Then there's Brandon Figueroa, the WBC interim champ right now. Not likely, because Figueroa is likely getting a mandatory title shot against Ray Vargas still. That's planned. We just don't know when yet. He's going to be fighting for the WBC title. He's also a PBC guy, where Espinoza is a top rank guy. But here's the kicker. These two, Brandon Figueroa is probably the biggest guy at featherweight that would stand the best chance in terms of overall size with Espinoza. So I don't think it's going to happen next, but I would love to see that in the future. Then there's Mauricio Lara, the former world champion. I wouldn't mind seeing it. It'd be another all-Mexican showdown right here. Lara, I do think, is still fights with the Zone and either Matchroom or Golden Boy. As long as they would work with Top Rank, I think they would accept the fight, but I don't think Top Rank would be willing to sacrifice their guy against another promotions fighter right now when they can make bigger fights and unify belts. Then there's Ray Vargas, the WBC champion. Not likely Vargas is going to be colliding with Brandon Figueroa most likely in his next fight, and Vargas is a PBC guy with Espinoza with Top Rank. Josh Warrington, the former two-time IBF champion. Not likely. Warrington looks to be on the move to 130 as well, following his loss to Lee Wood. That's not a guarantee yet. He is still ranked in one of the governing bodies, but I just don't think after back-to-back losses he would want to fight a guy the size of Espinoza, even if he did stay at 126. We already discussed Robeisy Ramirez. After that is Nick Ball, who is he's highly rated by the WBC and the IBF. He would be an optional defense for Espinoza next if they wanted to make the fight. Nick Ball is coming off of a nice win over Isaac Dogbe, but I don't think these two sides are going to come together for an optional fight, because Nick Ball is not a big name, but it is possible. I definitely think it is possible. I just think I just don't see it happening, but never know. And then there's Joet Gonzalez, which, I mean, shit, he's a top-ranked guy. It's an easy fight to make. Does he deserve another title shot? I don't think so. He's had 3 world title shots and he's come up short, but he's a banger and he comes to fight every time. He fought his ass off against Luis Alberto Lopez. If for some reason Espinoza didn't fight Robeisy Ramirez next, or make a mandatory defense against Arnold K. Guy, then I guess I could see Gonzalez being an option for what's his name, because he's been there before for Espinoza. But just gotta wait and see. So what do I think Espinoza is gonna do next? I think if Robeisy Ramirez really wants to fight and the WBO allows another optional fight, I absolutely think these two guys could lock horns again. I would love to see Espinoza and Ramirez too. But if either the WBO says no or Robeisy Ramirez doesn't want to fight right away, I think there's a possibility that Espinoza goes after Arnold K. Guy, his mandatory, and gets the mandatory out of the way before trying to unify belts with like Luis Alberto Lopez. It makes sense to go after your mandatory next. And that might be what Espinoza tries to push for no matter what, because then the rematch with Ramirez is possible, or a unification bout with Luis Alberto Lopez. And there's also the Kolmatov is fighting for the vacant title next. If he beats Raymond Ford, the WBA belt, he's an option because he's with Top Rank. So a lot of moving pieces, a lot of options. But Rafael Espinoza has thrown his name in the hat. He's at the party, and we'll see what happens next for him. So that's it. That's what I got. That's my What's Next video on the newly crowned WBO Featherweight Champion of the World, the undefeated Rafael Espinoza of Mexico, following his hard-fought decision victory over Robeisy Ramirez to capture the title. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support. This is True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.